So what's it like? You remind me of a bloke, or like hearing your story and knowing a little bit more about it now. It's only been 5-10 minutes, whatever. But you remind me of a bloke named Ariel Helwani. He's a MMA reporter.
Oh yeah.
And he started off, and he's not a MMA practice. I mean, I think he rolls a bit of jiu-jitsu or whatever. He's a Jewish French-Canadian bloke, I think, right? I think that's his heritage.
Yeah.
And anyway, he just loved MMA so much. And because I'm a big MMA fan, big footy fan, I played footy, whatever. NBA and mixed martial arts,
right.
UFC.
You're very representative of the younger generation, American sports and mixed martial arts, etc.
Yeah. So, and Ariel Helwani, he started off as just like, kind of that reporter that you'd just be like, who is this bloke? He'd go to all the press conferences, ask good questions, and you'd always see his face. But you go, who does this bloke work for? Like, what's he doing? Like, who is he? And he just kind of hustled his way to his dream scenario and his dream life. And now, because Conor McGregor's fighting on Sunday, and it's the first fight he's had in a while, and I was watching the content around that last night, and I watched Ariel Helwani interview Conor McGregor on ESPN.
Yeah.
You know, like he's living his best life. But what I'm interested in is, because I saw Ariel Helwani, because I've been an MMA fan forever, I saw him work his way up to where he is now and whatever. But what's it like coming into a career in journalism? And obviously your dad would have been helpful, I guess, but like, what is it like coming out of school and trying to become a journalist? Is it tough to get work? Do you have consistent, like 40-hour-a-week salary kind of stuff there, or like how did it look?
Well, I mean, to be honest, it's so long ago. It's just an entirely different world now, and I would say it's harder to get into the media now because it's just the media's contracting and there's so many more people trying to be part of it. Look, it was pretty conventional with me. I came straight out of high school. And that's one thing that's changed. I mean, basically now the newspapers, and I'm sure most people, they take on uni graduates, you know. So you've done a journalism or media degree or something. I just came straight out of HSC. In fact, when I started working on my son, I was still 17. I didn't turn 18 until a couple of months into the year. It was, I mean, we're talking about 1983. It's a long time ago. So I can remember my first year I was what they called a copy boy, which was like a messenger, not just a messenger, but you'd run a lot of errands, but you'd also get to do some writing and stuff as well. And it was a great introduction into how the whole newspaper process worked. I used to get $105 a week clear, and that was my weekly salary. I was still living at home then, so you know it was enough. But there were plenty of opportunities. I was quite lucky that first year. You know, I made it known very early in the piece, I wanted to be on sport. The training for most young journalists then was that you would get a taste of everything. So that meant general news reporting, police rounds, courts, politics, parliament, stuff like that. I basically did a bit of general reporting, but then as soon as there was an opportunity, they stuck me in sport.
Yeah, really.
And for whatever reason, the Sun sports staff of that time, so we're up to about sort of late 84 here, they were quite, funnily enough, sort of short-staffed. So I went in ostensibly the cadet that went on to sport, cadet journalist, and it rotated. Would be their role would be covering district cricket and VFA football. Now VFA football, it's sort of like
VFL
now.
Second grade football.
Exactly. And I thought fantastic, you know, and I did that, but they were short-staffed enough so that I also got thrown. I did a VFL game every week. I ended up doing Sheffield Shield cricket and some international cricket. And then a huge thing for me at the start of 1985, they said, you're going to be Lou Richards' ghost. So Lou Richards, it's hard to impress upon people of your age just how big Lou Richards was. He was the Eddie Maguire of bigger, in fact.
Yeah, the Johnny Cash to American listeners, kind of like the...
and Lou was a former footy champion who'd gone into the media. Everyone knew Lou. You know, he was the Sun. He was on the Sun. He was Channel 7, World of Sport. Anyway, I got to ghost Lou Richards, and for a year... I would drive around with Lou, helping him do his interviews and writing his stuff with him. And
so you're like his squire.
Yeah. And Lou, geez, Lou was great to work with. He had a fairly healthy ego, but, he could laugh at himself, and he was never shy of sort of pumping you up as well.
Yep.
And he was just fantastic to me. And I'll never forget, for example, the first time I met Ted Whitten, the great E.J. Whitten. We were out, Lou and I had gone to Footscray to interview someone, and Teddy was just sort of roaming the corridors as he did, being Ted Whitten. And Lou goes, Teddy, hey, come and meet the young fella, so... And Ted Whitten does his famous handshake where he used to virtually pull people off their feet. But I'm standing there, this sort of 19-year-old kid standing between Lou Richards and Ted Whitten, and I was just like,
how to get here?
Does it get any better than this? So
right.
It was a great introduction to journalism and to sports journalism particularly. And basically, when my time was supposed to be up on sport, they left me in sport. And I stayed at the Sun until 1987, and then I went to the Age and ended up staying at the Age for 30 years until mid-2017.
Unbelievable. So in those early days, how much of getting that start do you put down to luck, and how much do you put down to talent, and how much do you put down to hard work?
Well, as far as getting into the industry is concerned, I'd like to think I did it under my own steam.
Sure.
I had pretty good HSC marks. I was very interested. My general knowledge was good. It certainly helped that my father was.
Yeah.
And sorry, here's the other thing I need to explain. My dad worked for the Herald, the old evening newspaper in Melbourne, the Herald, which was massive.
Yep.
In the 60s, 70s, and the Sun News Pictorial and the Herald were both part of the same company, the Herald and Weekly Times, and were in the same office. So a lot of the people making the decisions on these things knew my dad very well. And, Dad was far more popular than I was. People used to... Even when I was...
We would have had 20, 30 years on you, let's be honest.
But even when I was a kid and far less cynical and sort of grouchy than I am now, people would come up to me and go, "Oh, geez, I can't believe you, Dad, son. He's so nice."
You're like, hey, you know what? Fuck you.
So that didn't hurt. But yeah, look, I was interested and I was passionate, and I'd like to think I was pretty knowledgeable, and I could write. You know, so it's a reasonable combination. Like over the years, people say, what does it take to be a journalist? Well, there's no sort of magic formula. It's being interested in the world around you. It's being well read. General knowledge. I can't stress that enough.
General knowledge.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's okay to specialise in particular areas, but who knows? Like even today, I mean, you might be a sports reporter sitting on sport, and then a bomb goes off in the middle of a city. Well, it's all hands on deck, you know, and your purer journalistic skills have to come into play.
Yeah.
So that's part of it as well. And just having a curiosity about the world around you. So, yeah, I'd like to think I did it under my own steam, and then I'd like to think I, sort of proved I had talent. And
of course, you're not going to be in the industry for 45, whatever, 30, haven't been any years without being able to prove the talent. Well, I just mean that start that you got, because that start seemed like obviously you had talent, obviously you would have had to work hard, but it seemed like you got a bit of luck. You know what I mean? With the Teddy Whitten and the Lou Richards stuff, and getting to that, especially with the Lou Richards, you're like, wow, this is such an opportunity to learn from just one of the best and one of the most respected, and be put in those places and meeting those people that you would have been meeting with Lou. It sounds like just you wouldn't have got anywhere without talent and hard work, let's be honest. But with a bit of luck, it probably got you a really good start, I feel like.
And also, I think having good teachers and mentors, and that's another thing. I've always, my whole career, really tried to be a good mentor, or, if someone asks me for advice or whatever, I'll always happily give it. I have a lot of people, even now, sort of email me out of the blue and say, like, can I talk to you about getting into the media? And I try to sort of make myself as available as I can, because I think what it was like for me and how much I benefited from
100%.
People passing on their knowledge. And that helps the whole industry sort of survive and be of a a high standard.
Yeah, well, you're just giving back to what people gave to you.
Yeah.
You know, I've done very little in business, but I have people. I run my own business. I've run a couple of businesses. I have people ask me for advice, and I had some amazing mentors, and I'll always the same. I'll say, yeah, man. I'll say, beware of false prophets, but you can take as much of my time as you like. I'm happy to give it. Just, you know, I don't know what I'm fucking really talking about, but
so
so that's really great.